Hello there, boys and girls. Yet another video from the broom cupboard. As you can see, it's nice and tight, cozy. What I'm going to talk about tonight is bullying. I'm sure most of you will have come across that in your time at school and maybe even afterwards. There's plenty of bullies around this world and plenty of people being bullied. When I was at school, it's quite common actually. I was called Sir Stafford Cripps. There was a guy called Sir Stafford Cripps in the cupboard at that time. And Smith's Chris. Apparently they were the Smith's Chris were about the only Chris available then, and a name like Cripps, Chris, well, you get it. Didn't bother me at all. What bothered me is being chased back from school by a pack of about 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 other kids who thought that was fair and fun. I didn't, of course. But luckily, being a skinny runt, I was quite fast runner and could outdistance them quite easily, so there was no problem there really. Various things happened, that were sort of, one kid and his group were always on at me. And, of course, when they were all together, I had no chance at all. So I had to hop it quick, But this one time he was on his own and he thought that he was going to be tough as he normally was. Well, of course he wasn't at all. And with a bit of a bust up. And I had him on the ground and given him a couple of punches here, there and everywhere. Well, more than a couple, really. And this man came along, an old guy, of course, and pulled me off and accused me of being a bully and this, that, and the other. And of course, the real bullying kid, of course, he was laughing his socks off at this. He just ran off and, that was it. But he never tried it again, so I presume he learned his lesson. One of the big things was at school. At school, of course, you couldn't escape very easily, in a classroom or something. They were kicking your heels or something like that, these sort of things that happen. And I'm sure that, something to you guys out there, boys and girls. I mean, girls can be as nasty as boys when they want to be a failure. I think they're even nastier at times, in my experience. Anyway, this is one occasion I was about 12 at the time, in the senior school, of course, and we're in the metalwork class. I never wanted to be in the metalwork class. I always wanted to be in the woodwork class. Wood to me was nice, easy to handle, like a nice touch. Metal was sort of dirty, gritty stuff in my mind. Obviously you need it, but I didn't want to do it. But like all things, it's a bit like being in the army at school. They tell you what to do and you have to do it. So off I went to the metalwork class. And this particular lesson, after a few weeks at it, these kids were going on at me and bullying me, sort of coming behind, sort of nudging me every 5 seconds of this, that, and going on about my father, giving him all sorts of names. Well, of course, he died when I was 4 years old, so this was not on. And after a while, I completely lost it. Really lost my temper. Grabbed this guy by the neck, pushed him down the bench, got this hacksaw, pulled his neck, and threatened to cut his bloody head off. Wasn't going to cut his head off, of course, but the threat was enough. He weed himself completely in pants, completely wet, trying to living daylights out of him. The other kids screamed and shouted and called the teacher, the metalwork teacher, who came across and obviously took the thing off my hand. And next thing, I had to go and see the headmaster. So I saw the headmaster. He said, "Cripps, what went on?" I said, "Look, these kids were bullying me, making insults about my father, who's long been dead. Him," pointing to the teacher, "did nothing, And the headmaster said, "No more." He said, "Cripps, go home." So nearly knocking off time anyway, so of course I went home. And as I went through the door, I could hear the headmaster giving this teacher a real rollicking. "How can you let this go so far? How could you not keep control?" That's what carry on. No, I'm not sort of suggesting that everyone who's bullied should go around trying to chop people's heads off. But it just goes to show that sometimes it will work. And I can tell you for certain, after that incident, no one at school ever tried to bully me again. Must have been gone out the thing that if you bully Cripps, you'll have to get your head off. I'm not really a nasty person, I tell you that. I'm really quite soft. But sometimes you do get carried away, and um, so these things happen. I'll tell you another story though about this. I was in Lorette de Mar with my wife and kids and my father and mother-in-law, and one evening we were in this restaurant bar place, and there was this German guy, tall guy, face like a skull, coming on shitting, screaming at people and all nasty. Probably what was happening, he's so drunk that the bar refused to give him any more drinks. So he was going around people's tables saying he'd buy them all around if he got a drink, you see. Of course, people would tell him to go away, and he come up to our place and started snarling at my father-in-law and shouting and screaming in German. Well, I knew a bit of German from my time in the army in Germany, so all of a sudden, and my mother was saying, Ted to my father-in-law, don't lose your temper, keep calm, keep calm. And all of a sudden, I don't know why, I just got up, grabbed this guy by the neck and the backside, roused, snowmucking, and frog marched him out the room. And at the end, there was this French woman, and she would go, bravo, bravo, monsieur. And also at the same time, this German guy had a bit of wine, tiny bit of wine in a glass in his hand. He was going out like this as I was pushing along. And it went out and hit the blouse of this French guy, sort of very puffish looking guy, and this sort of white, very white, nice white blouse. I wouldn't call it a shirt, it's more like a blouse, all puffy at the shoulders, thin material, great for the heat, of course. And he goes, oh, monsieur, Tadico, and French, of course. My French ain't very good. But you get the idea. So sometimes things can spur me into action, shall we say. I'm not a bully, and I never was, and never will be. But you get bullies everywhere, even in the office, there's work and that. So I always say to people, if someone bullies you, report them, and if that doesn't work, have a go at the person yourself. What's he going to do? Even if he sacks you, you can move off to a better job. If you've got the guts for it, of course. It's all up to you guys. So hope you take my advice and take care and behave.